All right, we're going to go ahead and get our Sherwood City Council regular meeting started December 17th, 2024 at 2 minutes after 7 o'clock. We can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Didn't even get out of my seat.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Sylvia, roll call.
Mayor Rosner?
Here.
Council President Young?
Here.
Councilor Browse?
Here.
Councilor, Councilor Scott?
Present.
Thank you. Councilor Mays?
Yes, Sylvia. Here.
Yes, sorry, I was just thrown off just a little bit. Councilor Giles?
Yes, here.
Councilor Stankey?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sylvia.
Yes.
Do I have approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, council. On the consent agenda, we have two items tonight. Item A is approval of the December 3rd, 2024 City Council meeting minutes. And item B is Resolution 2024-080, approving the city recorder's canvassing of the Washington County election returns of November 5th, 2024 general election and directing the city recorder to enter the results into the record.
I move consent. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, council. Citizen comments. Do we have anything, Sylvia? Do we have anything online? Awesome. With that, we will go right into we're moving the city manager's report up this week. It's at number 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Would you like us to move it to the end of the meeting?
No, I'm.
We already approved the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, we can modify.
I only have one thing. I'm sure one of the councilors is going to talk about the toy drive, but I just wanted, as we wrap up 2024 with the final council meeting of the year, I want to thank the city council and staff for their hard work and dedication. This year has been productive with significant progress on key goals and activities that benefit the community. I'm proud of what we've achieved together and look forward to building the momentum in 2025. So thank you for giving clear directions at all times.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. Any questions for Craig?
Thanks for a great year.
Yes, Keith?
Craig, it has been a joy working with you as city manager these past 12 months-ish. And for interim and then formal, got the job. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I also look forward to 2025. Staff, fantastic. Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you. Everybody's doing great. So I do want to say this is Joy is gone, but Joy is retiring at the end of this year, and I'm actually trying to work through some stuff. We have some work that needs to be done on Sherwood West as we move forward, and there's I'm trying to do a work back with Joy here in the next couple of weeks. I talked to her yesterday to be able to help the Public Works team with master planning and some of those things part-time. So we're still coming to terms, but I think it might work out. So I would hate to have somebody walk away when we have work for somebody to do. So.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. And I just want to reiterate, it's been working with you and Kristen. It's been amazing. The team is amazing. It's really a special city. We have city staff here that are they really take to heart their mission and taking care of the community and doing a good job for the community. And it's wonderful to sit on city council and see that happen and be a part of it. You guys do just an amazing job. So thank you. Anything else for Craig? All right, we'll move on to, we have a public hearing tonight. Sylvia, you want to read us in?
It's okay. Thank you. The Sherwood City Council will hold a public hearing this evening to receive testimony on Resolution 2024-081, adjusting solid waste and recycling collection rates, repealing and replacing Resolution 2024-075. The public hearing this evening will be conducted as follows. Staff will present a staff report. Questions, if any, by the council for staff. We will then receive written testimony. We will then open the public hearing for testimony, and the time will be limited to 4 minutes per person. Any interested person may present testimony. We will then close the public hearing. No other comments from the public will be heard. Final comments by staff, questions of staff, if any, by the council, followed by council discussion. If you wish to speak, please fill out a request to speak form and submit it to the city recorder prior to the time the public hearing is open for the testimony. The mayor will recognize people who wish to speak, and any comments must be addressed through the mayor. When you come forward, please state your name and place of residence for the record, as this hearing will be recorded.
All right, thank you, Sylvia. Craig, it looks like you're kicking us off with the staff report.
Sounds good. This is really, it's going to be a short one. This resolution 2024-081 is adjusting the solid waste recycling collection rates, repealing and replacing the resolution that you guys passed at the last meeting. And the reason why we're doing that is because there was a couple items missed in the fee schedule. One of them is an update of a 1 yard heavy container rate. That actually is part of the 10% composite that we were trying to get at. And then there also was there wasn't the recycle rates for some special items that it's not part of your normal recycling. So it just was not in the fee schedule. So just to clean it up, we just thought we'd repeal the one you approved last week, and then it's still to get to the 10% composite overall.
Alrighty, thank you, Craig. Any questions for Craig? All right, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Do we have anyone in the audience today would like to give public testimony on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, do we have anyone online?
Nobody's up there.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any additional questions for staff or discussion?
I'm irritated that several of us didn't like that we had to vote on it, and now we've got to vote on it again. It feels like you're giving us a.
At least we're not charged, we're not doubling the rate.
Right.
For context and Taylor's comment, for those that might be listening, a lot of our waste rates, our garbage collection rates, are heavily impacted on rates that Metro sets, fees that they set. And it's frustrating because they'll set new rates without really consulting cities, and then cities have to pass that along to our ratepayers, and then we hear about it from the ratepayers. So for those listening, that's where Taylor's comment's coming from. But it's something we have to do if we want to continue to have waste collection curbside in our community. But you should know that many of us work very hard with Metro trying to get them to think differently about that process. We've had a few little victories in terms of process for that. They're changing the makeup of the Regional Waste Advisory Committee, which reviews those rates and makes recommendations to the Metro Council to include more mayors from around the region and haulers, so we can get a better perspective on the impact of those rates in our communities. So we are working on that, but it's a little outside of our control, and yes, it is frustrating to have to vote on it again. But it's not a reflection of staff, it's more a reflection of challenges we have with Metro. Anybody else want to add to that? Awesome. Let's vote. Do I have a motion?
I will make a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-081, adjusting solid waste and recycling collection rates, repealing and replacing Resolution 2024-075.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2024-081, adjusting solid waste and recycling collection rates, repealing and replacing Resolution 2024-075, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, council. All right, we are on to council announcements, and Dan, you get to go first tonight.
All right. Planning Commission has not met since we last met. The only comment I have is, hearing Traffic Safety Committee that we just came out of that meeting with them. I drive my kids to school every day, pick them up, and when it's raining and dark in the mornings, people seem to not be paying attention still, and so I would just ask that people put their phones down for that, I don't know, 2 miles within Sherwood, or at least wait till you're at a stop sign. I know it's still not legal, but at least you're not moving your vehicle then. That would be great.
Thank you, Dan. Doug?
Yeah, Parks Board did not meet this month, but I did kind of want to double down on what Dan was just saying. You know, it's really dark out there. We're getting to the part of year where it's also really stormy and nasty weather. I know in my advancing years, my night vision is getting worse and worse as well. So I try not to drive at night, but just be really, really careful, even in school zones, but also just around town. Like even driving through my neighborhood, you see people out in like black. I can't see them until they're like 10 feet away from me. Now, thankfully, I'm not speeding and I'm paying attention, but even as a pedestrian, like don't assume people can see you, especially if you're wearing dark colors, because oftentimes I'm really close to somebody before, and they're not in the street, even just on the sidewalk or on the side of the street. It's like, whoa, there's a person there all of a sudden. It's crazy. So just, wear brighter colors, wear reflectors. If you're out running, particularly, do what you can to keep yourself safe. Even if you're right legally, you're still going to be hurt, unfortunately, if you get hit by vehicles. So I think safety goes, all different directions, but obviously drivers, please be really aware and slow down, because you can't see that person sometimes until you're right on top of them.
Thanks, Doug. Keith?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, and just for the third, turn on your damn lights. People, it's just more and more, you see people that start driving, they don't have their lights on. It's like, are you impaired? Turn your lights on. Quickly, the Cultural Arts Commission met last night, reviewed and made a recommendation on an item that's going to be on the renewal board meeting after this meeting. And WACA 911 CEO board of the board meets on Thursday of this week, and they're going to be done with their budget very quickly, so that members, the cities, the counties, the fire districts, all understand the fees that all the members will need to be paying to WACA for their services. So that's it.
Great. Thank you. Renee?
Yeah, last week I attended the Business Oregon Leadership Summit. Eric was there, so got to hang out with him a little bit, but learned some really neat programs that are going on that are involving youth and businesses and internships and some other things that I hope to share down the road and see if we can do something like that in Sherwood. Also attended the Chamber of Commerce breakfast. One of my most favorite times or meetings of the year is the holiday gathering, so that was last Tuesday. Lots of fun. Heard from the Mixolydians.
Nice.
Always wonderful. Tomorrow will be the Senior Advisory Board meeting. Actually, it's an action planning meeting for the age-friendly city and those next steps. Yesterday, I attended the luncheon with Washington County and Housing Services. It was my last chair role, and I'll be coming off the HAC committee in March. What else? Main Street is meeting on Friday, so I'll be attending that. And then in January, 2 big events that are coming up. On the 22nd of January at 7 p.m. at the Arts Center is the Korean World team is coming, and they'll be doing a demonstration in the community. And they will also be at City Council that Tuesday night. And then the awards luncheon for the Chamber of Commerce is on January 30th at the Arts Center. And if I can read my notes, I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Renee.
Just to piggyback on the luncheon for the chamber, I just saw today they put their announcement out that they're accepting nominations for the award winners. Lots of different categories, so go to the chamber website, go to the chamber Facebook page, social medias, they have it all listed there. Get your nominations in, I think, by next Friday, so that their nominating team can award some great awards.
What kind of awards are there?
There's like Business Leader of the Year, Small Business, Large Business, Citizen of the Year,
Teacher of the year.
Golden Apple, Youth, right? All kinds. Thanks for putting me on the spot, but I did know the answer. Oh, and a new one, Most Innovative Business from our gallery out in the in there.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
Farah, is there going to be an age-friendly business award in conjunction with age-friendly? Okay.
Yay.
So this year's chamber luncheon would
Nominate
be
yourself.
everybody. The chamber is hosting this year's luncheon, which I think is great. If you come get an award, and nominees will attend for free. Okay. What else I got? Oh, Saturday was a very fun day at Langer's with TVFNR and the Sherwood Police Department / Sherwood Police Foundation. It's the annual toy drive, where it's kind of a contest. People gave to the police, people gave to the TVFNR. I think we were about equal this year. But what's fun is TVFNR gives the kids rides in their fire trucks, pictures with Santa, and all that good stuff. We had a great tree lighting. That was always well attended. It is amazing how this community comes out, and the rain held off. I mean, it had rained earlier that day. The rain held off during the parade and the tree lighting, which I think was great. So heard lots of good feedback. That's all I have.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Am I
Taylor,
gonna
I'm
get-
sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so used to going this way, and so that was my bad.
That's okay.
Totally my bad, Taylor. Sorry.
That's all right. I as a 6'3" redhead, I sometimes hide in the corner. It's hard to see. I'm certainly not vocal and outspoken.
You need to work on that.
So, all right. So, are you going to talk about Metro Council and the December 5th, or did we already talk about that?
I was going to talk about that.
Okay, I'll let you talk about that. Let's see, the library meeting meets tomorrow. The best way to keep Amazon trucks off the road is to shop local. There's lots of great last-minute deals that you can get at local stores. There is a brunch that Symposium Coffee is putting on over the. It's open for everybody over at the Rebecca Lodge tomorrow or Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon. If you missed your chance to visit with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus and some elves, apparently they will be there. It's a busy time of year, though, there for them. So anyway, and I think that is it for me. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And I apologize again.
That's all right.
I just got a couple things. I'm sorry?
You already forgot I had one.
Oh, you had one more thing? Yeah. Go for it. No, go for it.
Well, first of all, I did end up attending the tree lighting ceremony, and I heard your speech. Well done, Mr. Mayor. But I do want to also give a huge shout out to our Oregon Ducks, who completed a 13-0 perfect season, won the Big Ten championship in their first year in the conference, and are now the #1 seed in the college football playoffs. So good luck in the Rose Bowl coming up in January 1st.
Important stuff.
It's so tempting to,
Cut them off.
yeah. Beaver fan.
I got one more thing.
As long as it's not about the Ducks.
I got half a thing. So, kudos to everything Doug just said. And then I wish everyone a very, very happy holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all of the holidays that people celebrate. So be safe, be smart, and bring on 2025.
Awesome, thank you. Well, is it much? I come from a Beaver family, and I'm a big Beaver fan, so it pains me to say congratulations to the Ducks. It is a huge showing, and it does bring me a little joy to think about what all the other Big Ten teams are thinking about this new upstart team from Oregon coming in and winning it all. So,
Being a proud Oregon dad that you are.
I knew that was coming. My oldest goes to University of Oregon. Stabbed me in the heart. Anyways, I just got a couple things. Just a shout out to the chamber. The holiday event at Al's Garden Center was, as always, was a treat, and seeing the Mixolydians was great. So they had a ribbon cutting ceremony for a new business in town. I want to make sure I get this right. Little Wishes Children's Boutique. It's over by McMinimum's over in the little strip mall over there. It's a really neat little shop for children's clothes. A lot of cute stuff in there, but we had a ribbon cutting for them, which is great. If you're not a member of the chamber and you have a business in town, I would highly recommend you join. They do a lot of good stuff for our community. And Taylor was mentioning it. We've been working for literally 4 to 5 years on doing the initial concept planning for Sherwood West, which is about 1,200 acres kind of surrounding the high school north and west, and what that's going to look like into the future. Growth is kind of inevitable, and we're trying to make sure that we're doing it on our terms, in the way our city wants to see how it grows. So we spent a lot of time doing outreach to the community. We had town halls, we had surveys, we had polls, we had outreach to really make sure we understood what our community wanted. The process is we have to get the metro government to approve that expansion. So we put our application in earlier this year. I think it was spring of this last year. And last week, I think it were 2 weeks ago, last week, Metro Council voted to approve our expansion request, which is great. And on top of that, they didn't add any conditions to the request that we felt were onerous. That can sometimes be an issue where we say we want X and they go, we'll approve it as long as you do Y. Well, they didn't do that, which was great. So they approved the plan that we put together. A huge shout out to Eric and his team in the planning department and everyone else in the city who worked so hard on that. Some of my counselors helped out and testified on that as we were going through that process. And a huge shout out, there's a lot of groups in Washington County that came out and supported our ask as well, which was really helpful. And the Metro staff was great too, if I'm being totally honest. They did a great job. So that was a huge win for the city. We get to plan it on our terms. We're going to be starting that process. We now have to go through a comprehensive planning process, and most likely we're going to do master planning. So we're kind of working through right now what that's going to look like. That's going to mean a lot more public outreach, a lot of conversations with our community as really get into the details, what that looks like. But just as a quick overview for those that are listening, within that 1,200 acres, and this isn't going to add up exactly because I can't remember the numbers to the acre, but it's pretty close. We have about 200 acres of jobs land allocated, and we're really focused on traded sector, advanced manufacturing, chip industry related type jobs compatible with the demographic, with the frankly the affordability of housing in our community. But the idea is that we want people to be able to live and work in Sherwood instead of having to commute out of town. So that's going to be a huge win for us. 500 acres, that 1,200 acres will be dedicated to natural space, so trails, parks, stream corridors, and those types of things. Eventually we'll connect into our new bridge that we're putting over 99, our pedestrian bridge, and connect both sides of town. 340 acres for housing with some innovative zoning types, where we have, like, for instance, cottage cluster only zoning, which is single level, small footprint homes with courtyards and a common building for starter families and for people who decide they want to age in place. If anyone who's tried to get a single level home in Sherwood, it's almost impossible. So, that's one of the problems we're trying to solve for. And also multifamily only zoning, and then the traditional zoning that you kind of expect to see in Sherwood. 30 acres for parks. One of our goals is to have a signature park on that side of town, something similar to what we have with Snyder Park on this side of town. And then 60 acres of a new zoning type called hospitality zoning to really celebrate our position as gateway to wine country, to have hotels, hospitality, restaurants, and potentially a sports-related and event space to really bring in the tourism dollars into town. So very excited about that. And again, Craig, please pass it along to staff. They did an amazing job. And let's see what else. The tree lighting ceremony was great. We have our If I Was a Mayor contest running again. So if you're in first grade through senior in high school, you have an opportunity to enter that contest. The winners get to help me light the Christmas tree. So we had our If I Was a Mayor winner up there on the 6th, got to help light the tree. That was a lot of fun.
And she rode the float.
And she got to ride on the float, and she's also invited to ride on any of the floats that we do as the city councils. And the most amazing thing is she won the statewide contest too. So she won for the whole state, which says a lot about our community. So that was pretty cool. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I have more, but I can save it for later because you guys are getting tired of listening to me.
And
I can
we have
tell.
a URA meeting next.
And we have a URA meeting. So anything else, Craig? Anything else for the good of the order, fellow counselors? All right, we're going to go ahead and adjourn our city council meeting, and we're going to call to order our Urban Renewal Agency meeting. Sylvia, roll call.
Chair Rosner,
Here?
Vice Chair Young,
Here.
Member Browse.
Here.
Member Mays.
Here.
Member Scott.
Here.
Member Giles.
Here.
Member Stankey.
Here.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. I have my list.
Thank you, Sylvia. We have one item on the consent agenda tonight, approval of the October 15th, 2024 URA Board meeting minutes.
Move consent?
Second.
A motion and consent. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, council. Motion passes. Any citizens' comments for our urban renewal meeting? And I see nothing online, so we will go right through that. On to new business. We have one resolution tonight, URA Resolution 2024-006, authorizing the URA agency manager to approve additional art infrastructure on the Highway 99 West pedestrian bridge project. Jason, you're up. Thanks for, Jason and, oh, awesome. Thanks for coming out tonight. So we're excited to hear about what you guys have come up with.
Yes, Jason Motter, City Engineer, City of Sherwood. This is Nick Halsey with KPFF. We're here tonight to talk to you about basically establishing an art budget for the project. The resolution before you is kind of broken down into different amounts. Nick's going to go through a presentation here. Again, Councilor Mays mentioned the Arts Commission is recommending option B. That's the same recommendation from staff and the consultant, and Nick will kind of go over some of the options and anything, kind of that the city adds later. Just keep in mind we have a 2-year warranty that we'd have to wait for the contractor to kind of end before we do anything. But anyways, I'll let Nick kind of go through the slide. Roll you through.
Hey, Nick.
Yes.
Just a couple things. So when resolution staff report was put together, we had to have it turned in last week. We're still working with the contractor to get the pricing where we needed it to be. So I know that we're going to have to amend this unless you go with the highest dollar. We were just hoping you could amend it to whatever you guys wanted at the end. But I feel that the design team, the recommendation tonight, you're still going to get a good quality, even though it might be different with a different set of lights, and Nick will be able to explain that to you as we go through. So that's why you've got this in front of you, and that's why you're going to see some different numbers tonight. So.
Okay. So our goal here is to define the art budget, and we have actually now 4 options to present. And to preface this by saying, obviously you all know quite a bit about this project. We've been working on it for a few years now. And, we always had that goal of including the art component. The Cultural Arts Commission has weighed in. You guys have all weighed in. Unfortunately, our timing with actually getting the artist on board is a little bit late in the overall process. So we're doing this just in time to get it in to the contractor's scope so that the art can be completed with the bridge. But as a result of that, we do need to kind of make a decision quickly in order to release the contractor to proceed and not impact the project schedule. And so any of the options that we're talking about tonight, if you're able to stick within those options, we're able to maintain the project schedule, the contractor can work it in. Of course, there are other options out there for what you do for art, but looking at other options would delay us or require the art to come later. So that's kind of the time factor. So as a reminder, our site plan, our bridge crosses Highway 99, Elwart Road, Kruger Road. The bridge itself is designed to be a piece of art, and that includes lighting, architectural lighting with color changing capabilities. So the whole project really is that big artistic, welcome to Sherwood, this is us statement. But we also have a few specific art opportunities on the bridge and around it. So we have medallions in the concrete deck across the bridge. And then we have the art feature wall at the east approach in front of the YMCA, very small on that plan, but it's at the intersection of Highway 99 and Sunset. And that's really the focus of the options we're talking about tonight, is what's happening for that art piece. And so the 4 options, A, B, C, D, these are additive. So for everything, we're including that overall bridge lighting design and implementation, which is really just the picking of color schemes because the actual cost of the system's in the contractor scope already. We have the artist fee. We have concrete sculptural relief work in the wall, which was kind of the base assumption originally that we built into the contractor's bid. So that's included in all of the options. When we brought the artist on and started working with the design team, as well as with the Arts Commission, as well as with you all, she had proposed some additional opportunities there, which have evolved, and we'll show some visuals of that, to what we're calling that east wall laser cut screen, which essentially takes the art from a relatively short wall to make it a much taller statement that you're able to see from a lot further away, and that we feel does a really good job of tying that art piece into that overall broader vision of the bridge's art. And so that's what you see with options B and C, including that element. And then in option C, as we worked with the bridge design team and the artist collaboratively with our lighting designer, we were, what's the best way to light that art? We came up with an option that everyone was really excited about, which includes color changing capabilities, and so it's able to really, go all the way to the most exciting thing we could make there. As we eventually got pricing back and really talked about it more, I think a lot of the team has backed off a little bit on the value and the need for that. Both our bridge architect and our artist at this point are kind of like, we really don't need or necessarily want to use colored lights on that art piece because it may somewhat distract from the art and that broader statement where we really are using the color on the bridge, and then this is kind of a secondary scaled piece to complement it. And so that's that option C. And then option D is keeping that enhanced lighting, but then removing the screen wall. And so in that option, again, at this point, we're starting to feel like, maybe that enhanced lighting is not the best use of funds. We would design-wise prioritize the taller screen wall. And so based on that, the design team recommendation now is actually option B, so not to do the upgraded lighting, but to keep that screen wall element, and I'll show some views of that. And that is consistent with the staff recommendation and the Cultural Arts Commission recommendation after they reviewed this last night. And so some visuals to help explain all of this. This is basically, driving Highway 99 northbound. You can see the YMCA building in the background. You can see the concrete art wall, and this is our original design, which just had our typical project railing on top of that wall. So it's not a very tall wall. It's about 4 feet tall all the way across there, and then it has about a 4-foot tall railing over part of the length of it. And then behind that wall are the steps that go up to the bridge. So in red, you can see that's kind of the extent of the concrete art. In our base design, and that is option A, that we would keep the concrete art there. And you can see some of the other project elements around that. So again, that railing's kind of part of the length based on where the steps are behind it, where you need it for code. But it's not necessarily a cohesive statement with the art in terms of that design element. It's more just kind of what's necessary to meet code. Working with the artist, this is the design that we came to. And so you can see that she's, really pulling some of that overall bridge kind of sculptural form interpretively into the artwork, and then has also taken the idea of the arch and applied that to the shape of that red laser cut screen panel. And so that starts to really have this art piece talk at multiple different scales to the overall design of the project. And so a few more views kind of as we step around. So the last view is kind of if you're standing on the sidewalk right there looking at it. Now maybe you're a pedestrian crossing Sunset. Zooming out, you can start to see how the arch of the bridge really directly ties to this overall arching form of the artwork, as well as then the more detailed patterning within the artwork. As a pedestrian, as you kind of, turn the corner around to go up these steps to the bridge path, you can see that sculptural concrete relief work. So these are actually kind of projecting patterns out from the wall. We have stainless steel supports for the laser cut screen. So this is something that, as you all know, we have stainless steel railings across the whole bridge. Very, high quality, kind of shiny design element, right? And so we wanted to make sure that we're using a similar quality material and design for the support of this art screen, so that it's consistent with the rest of the project. We did, of course, look at other ways to save costs there, but we felt that the cost savings versus keeping it consistent with the bridge design, it was better to keep it consistent, and then really let this red laser cut panel really be that feature that you can read from both the front and the back. And then you see here just the little narrow strip of paving, so that's where the enhanced lighting would go. We do have lighting in the project to light this wall if we don't go with that option C. The difference is the option C, we have uplights right at the face of the wall, so they will really emphasize the concrete relief work and the shadows that you get out of that, as well as having color changing capabilities. The trade-off is that in the contractor's original bid, of course, we did have lighting, which will be a more uniform lighting over the wall. You won't get that play of shadow on the concrete work, but it will give a nice uniform, warm color to the red screen. And so we feel that that is still effective at lighting that screen, which we think is the more visible piece at night, and from more distances. And so that's kind of the trade-off. It's not as good at lighting the concrete, but it's still something, and it's something that's already in the project, so we're not basically paying for additional new elements that we wouldn't otherwise have. Just a few more views. So as you're working your way down the path on the bridge, you can see that view from the backside. So again, the screen is really visible from a lot of different angles, whereas that concrete wall element is only visible from the front. And as you get even further away, in this top left image, you'll actually see as you go down the ramp from the bridge, this art screen is actually almost centered on the path, so it becomes a really nice focal point for the pedestrians and the bikes on the bridge. And then, driving Elbert to Sunset, driving on the highway, it is pretty prominent at the intersection, and again has that visual relationship with the actual arch of the bridge. And then we also happen to notice, there's other places that you might start to see it, such as in the YMCA building, kind of a neat little detail, right? So it's a bigger element, right? You're going to see it from more places, and we think it's a really nice way to kind of anchor at the corner of the project that arch that references back to the overall bridge design at a little bit more pedestrian and human scale. So again, on the lighting, we do have lighting in there. If you go with options A or B, we would still have some lighting. It'll just be, and this is just, there's lighting. It doesn't really look like that, but it will do a good job of illuminating the red screen. It will do an okay job of highlighting the concrete wall. You just won't get that really interesting play of shadows that you get with option C, and you won't get the color changing capability. But as a reminder, we have about 214 color changing light fixtures on the bridge, and so there's lots of opportunity there, and the design team kind of feels like that's worth emphasizing, letting the bridge kind of be that statement, and then this art piece being kind of an interpretation of it, but that doesn't necessarily need the color changing lights to do that successfully. And then just, if we have any questions about dates and other things, we have that information as well. I think that's what we have, and we can go back to the summary of options.
All right. Thank you. Questions for the team?
Quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
If we didn't do the laser cut screen on the wall, what would be on the wall? Just just the fence like matches the others?
Yep, we would have the typical project railing for part of the length of the wall.
And this wall and that original fence, that was never part of the original contract?
That railing is in the contract now. So we're basically taking a credit to...
I didn't say, are we getting a credit back? So Are we saying that laser cut screen is costing us $160,000?
More, yeah, including the credit. And part of that is the credit is less at this point because they've already started procuring a lot of the material. So we're saving the labor of building it. That being said, we have the same railing design throughout the project, and so we can take all of that material and save it as attic stock for future maintenance. So so it's not completely going to waste.
So we've paid for it, so we will get whatever they've procured.
A lot of that material, but we save the fabrication and the installation. So it's like a $20,000 savings for that.
So an additional question on that though, but the cement wall or concrete wall, is it just flat? There's no design on it for the cheaper option, or is it still got
All of these options have the relief patterning included. In the
Okay,
cost.
but the original cost does not have a wall at all, or it has just a smooth wall?
Yeah, the original bid basically says the contractor will receive a custom form liner from the city to
Okay.
install.
Okay.
Now that we have the artist and have really worked through how to procure that, the artist recommended that we actually add that to the contractor's scope to procure.
I have two questions. One, when you first started talking, you said something about having to pick the light patterns that we wanted to program, or I don't know exactly what you said, but it perked up my ears. So could you expound on that, please?
Yes. So the artist that is on board now that has been working on this east wall design is also going to be helping with selecting the different patterns. And so we've written into the contractor's scope, they're going to program 20 different options that you can pick from. And an option is not necessarily a static color. It could be a wide range of different things, a detail in that. And so the artist is going to be helping with...
Why 20? Why not 100?
Yeah, well, it was an arbitrary number to put into the bid. The original recommendation was, say, 3 or 4. And
We had a lot of discussions about this, so I'm trying to remember, because I asked a lot of questions about this, like, we should be able to customize colors in the future, right? We shouldn't have to pre-plan them all now.
yeah, and there will be the ability, the system has the ability to do that, but it is a very technical process to program them in. And so that was kind of the number with city staff that we settled on, to have, a wide range of flexibility.
How much does it cost to add a new one?
A lot. Yeah, I don't know if we know specific numbers.
It feels like we're buying the wrong software.
We're going to hack it, whatever it is.
Yeah, it just, that doesn't add up to me. Like,
Yeah, in theory, I think it's, getting the right person with the right amount of training, they can start to figure that out.
okay, okay. And why did we decide to, no offense to this artist, but why are we letting them pick the color combinations?
I think it's more she's going to help work with the city. So with the Cultural Arts Commission, with this group, there will be some public.
I want council to have sign off on what those 20 are.
Oh, for sure.
I guess my question would be, how much are we getting charged just to design lighting?
Yeah.
So we haven't done that part of the contract with her yet. She's just available to do that. And the thought was that
I'll do it for free.
Cultural Arts Commission and council, you would pick themes. And then it would be the designers, because it sounds like the programmer can't do this, but it would be the designer's responsibility to make those themes work. So if you say, you want a Halloween theme, do you just really alternate orange and black, or what sequence do you do those in, and which parts do you highlight? So the idea was we would still come back to Cultural Arts Commission and the council to decide what those themes or colors would be. But we haven't added this to her contract yet.
But we're
She just has
anticipating the
experience
cost
in doing it.
in here? But we're anticipating a cost in here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what do we
What is that
anticipate that cost is?
I'm not, we haven't even gotten a price.
Nick,
yet.
It's a subset of
Yeah.
the allowances here. It's not a big piece of it, I think.
'Cause I would
I'd want to
suggest-
know how much.
I would suggest we just have a basic on theme at this point, and then we can do that at a later date. I mean, I'd really like to
So-
understand what those costs are.
Yeah, you
I would
already
agree with
have.
We already bought it.
Yeah, so you do have already the contractor programming cost of those 20, and so that's likely the bigger expense.
How much is that?
We don't have the breakout. We know that the total lighting in the project is about 3.3 million, and that's the architectural fixtures and the pathway lighting.
We don't know what the
We don't have a
programming
breakout
costs
beyond
are.
that.
Can we
Yeah.
get that?
I mean, we've already, the contractor has the contract already. We can't change the contract.
I know. I would still like to know going forward, because, no, I don't think it's offline. I'm just very concerned about, these types of systems in a commercial environment don't even come close to these types of cost. So I would just like, we have to do something because we're under a deadline tonight. I would just like to understand what that looks like going forward, because it just seems like a lot of money to have someone program lights. And I know you say it's technical, but it's not that technical.
Yeah, I guess the other piece there, there's 214 fixtures that each can have up to four different colors at the same time. And so there's potentially a lot of detail. And so that's where the artist comes in to really, what's the right level of detail down to the specific color codes of, what's exactly the right shade of a color to kind of fill that gap.
I just want to know how much extra,
That's one thing. If it's
how much
100,000,
extra,
that's something else.
yeah. How much extra is that costing us for that art light design? That's what I would want to know.
And they haven't talked about it yet.
But you're putting it in the budget.
No.
I think it was, yeah, I think within.
I'm not sure what KPFF has assumed, but it's not an actual cost from this artist yet.
It's city direct, so that's, I know Shanda's been working on that with them.
It's not in
Is
the
it in this budget or not in this
$360,000
budget?
here or $200,000 here.
So the number, it's basically that artist fee line item. I believe that is 80,000 of each of these numbers, and that's a not to exceed that I believe is for all the work done to date.
So
plus
80,000 for the artist to do lighting design. For
no,
the bridge.
that's for everything.
It's for all the art.
that
the
she's-
art.
But how much of it is for the lighting design?
77,000, I believe, is what it is, Tim, is the art contract with the artist.
And what amount of that is for the lighting design?
I'd have to look at the scope.
It doesn't
yes.
include the lighting, so we'd have to pay
Does not
additional for
include
that.
lighting.
So these prices don't include lighting.
They did not include an estimate for lighting from.
For her
our-
designing the lighting for us.
On the bridge.
That was only for
Okay.
the actual work of designing the form liners and the metal parts.
So we presumably would either
So we don't
design it ourselves or have to come up with more money later for her or someone else to design.
Wait, I have a
the
question.
lighting.
We, in our contract with the contractor, said we're gonna get 20 lighting designs. Who was gonna design them if we didn't have this artist?
It was either going to be the city staff or arts commission or someone, right, is going in and picking colors, or that's where we suggested, given the complexity, having an artist to help through that
So I guess I
process.
would wanna know, since it's not included here, what the artist would charge to choose those.
Yep. Yeah.
And then decide whether it's gonna be the artist or,
We don't have to decide that tonight.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not in the stage.
So I
Yeah.
think that
I
is,
can get that information, and I could be wrong, but my understanding was we didn't have enough information when we were trying to get the contract together, and we needed to get her on board quickly to be working on this stuff. And we just didn't know what all it was gonna entail to potentially do the design and the details of it, so that's why we were gonna have to amend it at a later date.
So we can approve this
Yeah.
tonight, and then we can come back later with a proposal
Yeah,
for
we
the
broke
design.
it out in different
Yep.
parts so that we
Exactly.
could only use her for what
That's why.
we wanted to use and then add more in for lighting.
My only request in regard to the lighting is that this council be the final arbiter. We have to approve the 20 designs. No? Nobody agrees with
I
that?
don't have a problem with that.
yeah, I mean, I think the suggestion should come to us.
Yeah, I
and we
don't-
Sign off on it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's value in having an artist or somebody who knows what they're doing come up with the lighting schemes.
The right price.
I'm not I'm not an artist, and I also think for the future, the city should know how to program. But I also understand that we might not always have somebody on staff who can do that.
I know a volunteer.
Tim can do it.
or two.
Anyways,
Got a guy
okay.
that has that experience, but, and in fact, I would, let's leave one of the designs open for the mayor for the day. They can pick a design, anyway.
So where are we with this?
Yes.
so,
I do want to note on the lighting color design, so you do see in this table, that is shown as a column in all these, the intent is that within, if not the specific number, the contingency assumed in these numbers, the assumption is that these numbers will cover that cost plus everything else shown. And it's important to note that because that process really needs to start very soon. And if we don't start that process soon, we're at risk of that impacting project schedule.
The lighting design? has-
Programming
The
of
color.
lights? Why?
The lights actually go in before the railing system. on
No,
the
I
bridge.
get that, but
And
shouldn't
so-
they go in and be able to be programmed after the fact? Or you're
Yes. And if
Yes.
not, then we're going to get,
But it,
And
you know,
we
within the
kick butt at
contractor's substantial completion, and there's, you know, a long process there. So it's just one of those items with the contractor's schedule we're tracking, and we want to make sure that we don't delay them or potentially delay them by having some of these details ready to go for them when they say they need it.
great. So that's why you have conversations with them.
Yep.
To then have conversations with us.
We-
And if that should have happened 2 months ago, then we'll turn around and let them kick you in the hiney.
But we default, they're going to be at least a white one or something that is a default one so that we can cross the bridge at
Sounds
night.
like we're gonna, those lightings are not for safety. There's a whole
No,
safety light that's already
right,
gonna
but
be
I'm
there.
saying that there should be some sort of a one that if they said, well, we can't install these until something's programmed, right? That seems silly that we're.
Yeah,
They're gonna be-
We
we're gonna-
absolutely can, have some
Okay.
fallback options, but we want to not waste the fact that the contractor owes the 20 scenes, and so we want to make sure that
Okay.
we have them do those at least, and that we know what those are.
All right, so I think for tonight, we can come back to that in terms of whether we're.
Oh, I never got to my second question.
Oh, go for it.
What happened to the Sherwood design? I thought that was gonna be an option still.
So as a reminder,
ODOT
it,
thing.
it's part of the ODOT right away, and that constitutes a sign, so ODOT must approve it. That's an like 18-month process.
ODOT said.
Did I miss this meeting?
Yes.
Where the-
Yeah.
okay.
It also extends out to the site distance triangle, so it's not just their right of way, it's where you can see, they can
Okay.
take the letters out.
I missed that meeting apparently. Okay.
So it can still be.
It can be
done
added at a later
later.
time, but with this initial, I've chosen to.
And with the new city logo.
So,
I'm still confused as to something now that you just said, so I really apologize. The bridge lighting color designs column, you're saying in there, there's a contingency to cover the design of the?
No, the
intent-
the programming of the 20 scenes is covered.
That is
Lighting
covered-
design by an artist of what those,
Is not.
how you're gonna light up
No,
each of the
is
214
covered in
bulbs in
these
each scheme
budgets.
is not.
Yeah, the intent with this, that is included in these budgets.
what's included?
The color lighting designed by the artist.
By the artist, you tried to think of what that would cost and you put it in here.
That's included as an allowance.
So what was?
Okay.
Kristen, you just said it wasn't included.
In the artist's
Sorry,
contract.
we have not included it in the contract with the artist as of yet. We have not selected or
So how much?
So then you know how much is.
It's an allowance.
an allowance or the.
How much is the allowance? If you have it in the budget, you have to have a breakdown of what it is.
Yeah, so basically
Yeah.
essentially the numbers here, the concrete relief pattern is about 70,000. The artist fee, it sounds like is, we think 77 for the first piece, plus
So this is.
X for an
147.
allowance, right? And so in the remainder
53,000.
from 200,000 to that number
53.
is an allowance for both medallions in the bridge deck and the lighting color
Oh,
design.
okay.
So how much is the medallions in a bridge deck?
We don't know yet. So it's an allowance to, and you can kind of,
And the more we
There's an-
spend on lighting design, the less we'll have for medallions.
yeah.
So to make this, while we're still working the details out, can we pick one that we actually can go with, set the allowance, and let us finish the negotiations with the
I
contractor?
think that's
guess?
fine. I'm just worried that since we don't know that from the vendors yet, one can go up and one could go down depending on what we're making a choice. So I think we need to demand from the vendor a breakdown on all these costs, so we understand it. Yeah.
What?
So.
Yeah, we
we
do
got
have a
the
detailed
breakdown.
breakdown from the contractor on their pieces. And we've been working with them to get that really dialed in line by line. And then we have an artist now, there may be another artist, the medallions. So the pieces that are not going through the contractor and directly from the city would be the artist, lighting, color design, and medallions.
Yeah, so the mistake that we made, that we're not going to change tonight, is putting an allowance in here for other art beyond the wall. But we did, so in front of us, so
All right, so for council, we have 4 options on the table. Staff is recommending B.
Cultural Arts Commission recommends B.
I like B, but I'd like to weight on the additional lighting design component of that. Like, I want to pay for the medallions, I want to pay for the screen wall, the concrete relief, the base artist fee, but like I want more information on what we're gonna potentially pay for additional artist fee to design the lighting before I sign off on that. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
So you're asking the staff not negotiate a contract for that until you have feedback on that?
Well, and I want to know how much medallions
I know.
cost, right? So, like, okay, if we have an allowance for medallions, but whatever we spend on lighting design is going to reduce our medallions, then I want to know how do we, like, so I'm good with the total number, but I don't want to, like, I don't want it to just be an open checkbook, right? Yes on artist fee, yes on concrete wall, yes on laser cut screen, and obviously the 20 things we've already paid for, the 20 lighting designs we've already paid for, but then come back to us when you have more information on total budget's fine. Come back to us on how you want to spend the rest between medallions and lighting design artist. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Question for Nick on clarifying what, sounds like we just need to provide numbers for the 20 scenes.
Oh,
But just, it doesn't have to go through an artist, my point is. It just, we
No, that's a whole different conversation for later.
Before we select someone to design the lighting, you can absolutely give that information to you and get feedback. That's no problem. And we can decide if that's the route we want to go, and we can work on finding an artist or designer that can do that at a reasonable. And that's easy to commit to. So if you feel comfortable approving option B, that's something that we can work on, as well as when we get more firm pricing on the medallions before we make a selection.
Do we have how many medallions are we aiming for?
There's 8.
Okay.
How comfortable are you with the allowance that you've put into the budget? Are we going to stay within that 360,000?
So basically, on the pieces that are in the contractor scope, we have change order pricing from them that our goal is to basically tomorrow, based on your decision here, finalize these are the signed drawing changes, get them a signed change order to begin procurement of it, and go build it right now. So the contractor pieces are not likely to change by much. Again, there's some unknowns built into the budget total. There is contingency, and so we're going to continue to do what we can to keep the cost as low as we can. I think, Craig, basically these numbers, also relative to where project contingency out, leaves some flexibility, right?
Okay, thank you.
I feel like the position of this wall and a potential Sherwood sign going in front of it turns this more into a background piece than a featured artwork, right? This is not an Instagrammable piece of art. This is not a, it's background to a centerpiece that says "Welcome to Sherwood" or "Gateway to Wine Country" or something. I'm more in favor of the 200,000 or frankly, a concrete wall there, because I think it's gonna be hidden by whatever we put in front of it. And so I feel like we're already paying a ton for the bridge. I don't know that I'm getting an extra $160,000 for the screen.
there's no assurity that we can put anything in front of this sign.
I think correct. ODOT is very clear to date that they see no path to putting Sherwood letters there. Doesn't mean that with negotiating over time that you couldn't get there, but they have been very strongly against that
Well,
being possible.
could we put a "Welcome to Sherwood" sign on top of this, like we looked at some of the designs instead of that screen?
No,
Right.
it's the same
For ODOT,
thing
no.
still.
Same problem?
I think your point
Okay,
is
but
valid though either way, because even if we don't put a Sherwood sign in front of it, like, it is kind of his background.
It's corporate.
It's an interesting looking wall.
Yeah, and it's fine. By the way, I hope the artist isn't offended when I say this. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's just,
It's not a
it's
landmark.
not $160,000. It's not landmark. It's not like, oh, this feels like
We got to
home,
go
right?
check out the wall.
Yeah. If anything, it's
asking people to climb on it and graffiti it. I don't know. I would rather spend the money somewhere else.
Renee, what are your thoughts?
I think the wall by itself is quite ugly. I lean towards B.
Kim?
I really like the laser cut screen on top. I think it does make that stand out, and I actually disagree with Taylor a little bit. I think it is somewhat of a statement piece where it's at. So I would go probably with B.
We're not voting, we're just
Yeah,
discussing.
I do believe if you go with B, it is a bit of a placemaking thing. That is what the Cultural Arts Commission supports. It is more than I thought it would be.
It always is.
Yeah. If you don't want it to be a noteworthy corner, then you do the concrete. You do the bare concrete wall and you cover it with brick or rock at some point. But of the choices that were presented here, I'd do B.
I like B with my previous call out that I want to make sure we're not committed to paying anyone for lighting design. And if we are going to pay someone for lighting design, let's go hire a lighting designer, not a brick artist. No offense.
Dan?
Is there an option to amend this to remove that $53,000 at this point? To budget that then later? Or does the contract need to have that right now?
Well, that includes the medallions.
Right. Well, because we don't know what that is either. But then it would cover all the things that we are sure of right tonight.
I think they need to know about the medallion costs, or they need budget for medallions right away. They have to wait for us to approve it later, that might be a problem.
Okay.
For this work here?
For the work that she's done so far. And, well, I guess.
I think we were trying to get this, if we don't use the artist for the design work and we bring somebody else in, we're trying to establish a budget for the art deal because it's got to move really quick to keep this on track, because as soon as the first of the year comes around, we got to figure out the lighting. That's the next thing, and I know ODOT's going to have a say in the lighting is what we can actually use. So that's what we're trying to do. More than happy to bring back stuff in January. I want to make sure we stay on track because this project is moving fast, and we need to keep the contractors so they're not doing change orders and they're not hitting us for delays. That's all I'm asking for. So
I think staff hears our concern.
Yeah.
And even if we approve the full budget, they know what we're asking for to bring it back before they move forward with contracts.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'll throw out my opinion. Taylor, I'm in your camp. I would go with option A. I think the laser cut wall looks nice, but I just think, eventually that's not going to be the entry to the city. The entry to the city is going to be down near Chapman Road. So it's not worth $160,000 to me, and I would spend it on something else. So my preference is A. I am, to your point, Kim, I am fine with, let's get this amount approved so you guys can move forward and start working on contracts, and where we do have the time, like final lighting design and stuff like that, you can come back to council on. I also want to say one more thing. We, as a council and a staff, we're pushing this project to move fast. So the fact that we have little hiccups and have these conversations is awesome in my mind, because in some ways that just means we're moving this along and we're trying to get it done quickly, trying to avoid, a lot of inflation and construction costs and stuff like that. So I really appreciate all the work you guys are doing. This sounds like we're complaining, but to me, this is just a symptom of how fast we're moving, and we just need to work a few little things out. So kudos to everyone involved in this project. I just want to make sure you understand that. It's not a negative in my book, but my take is I'd rather spend that $160,000 on like a facade grant program, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you and Taylor, so I'm wondering if maybe Do we have a clear 4 that want the B, or?
Can we pull the picture back up without the screen?
I would even put, say, hey, we want a pad on the other side for high school art, or, we talked about that at some point,
That's
right?
a different conversation.
No, I understand, but again, $160,000 to do something else on that, when really, to your point, the piece of art is the bridge. And even the medallions and other things that are on it are nice to haves, but man, it's hard to compete against that bridge, right? And the lighting that's going on that bridge, right? And so it's almost like, you're painting up next to the Mona Lisa and being like, yeah, it's fine.
I think the architectural reasoning for this is to really expand the footprint of the bridge and make it, this corner is really part of that broader.
Yeah, I don't know
So
that.
that's kind of
I don't know that I need to expand the footprint of the bridge. That's a big bridge, right?
So you wanted to see the other picture?
I wanted to see the one without the screen, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is there one without the red?
So you're gonna have the nicer, it's not like a galvanized fencing, it's stainless steel.
Yeah.
As your fencing.
And will it be
With the
this
mesh?
smooth wall rather than the groove,
The relief is,
The relief is still
The
there.
relief
Okay.
is still there, yeah.
Yes.
And you're not blocking the Y.
In option A, we would still have the,
Oh, you still have that.
Yeah.
Oh,
is
okay.
in option A.
Well, then I would go to the 200.
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
The nuance being then we're keeping the lighting that is good for the screen, but not really great for the concrete, and we don't have a screen. We just
Where is
have
that
the concrete.
lighting installed?
So that would actually be out in the landscape about 3 feet
Can't you
away
just
from the wall.
angle it down a little bit more?
It's not basically, in order to catch the relief pattern, you want to be directly up
Yeah, I
it.
don't necessarily care about that. We can change the angle of the light
It'll
so it
still be lit,
shines on the wall instead of the
They will
screen.
shine on the wall, but because it's coming from the face of the wall instead of from below, just the type of
I get
fixture
it.
That's fine.
I don't
it
care.
kind of
That's fine.
washes it out.
And Craig, where is this extra budget coming from?
So this would be coming from the URA funds of additional money that's been brought in property taxes. The URA is doing better than what was planned by about 400,000 this year. So
I want to make a motion.
Mayor Rosner, Member Young, would it be helpful to have some language for the verbal amendment?
Nope, I can handle it. Can I get the options back up there? I am going to make a motion to amend Resolution 2024-006 to have option A, removing option C,
B.
Or whatever. Inserting option A is the
Oh,
third
you're right.
option.
You're right. C.
it's option C,
You're
that's
right.
in the
You're right.
Oh,
staff report. So, I amend the resolution to include option A, removing option B. That's my amendment.
So Mayor and Council, if I may, amending the resolution specifically, Counselor, what we're looking for is the language in the resolution that you want to amend. So if we're looking at amending a whereas or a dollar amount to give us specifically what we're amending. So that's, I think, what
That's
maybe what
probably what Sebastian was going to
what
tell me.
Sebastian had.
Do you have a suggestion,
Yeah,
Sebastian?
thank you.
Mayor.
Yes, you may.
Yeah.
Maybe just change that to that. Thank you. Okay, thought I can handle it myself. Apparently I couldn't.
Good,
Okay.
good try, thank you.
I move to amend URA Resolution 2024-006 by replacing 450,000 with 360,000 and replacing 45,000 with 36,000 throughout the
That's
resolution.
not
That
what
should
you
be
want.
200.
You're going with A.
We're going with A.
unless you want to go with B.
Strike that motion. I move to amend URA Resolution 2024-006 by replacing 450,000 with 200,000 and replacing 45,000 with 20,000 throughout the resolution.
Have a second.
Sorry,
Have a
you said
motion.
45,000 and 20,000 instead of 450,000 and 200,000.
45 is the 10% contingency, which
Okay.
is throughout the
My bad.
resolution.
My bad.
Okay. So So we have a motion and a second. Can I read this? This is for my, yeah. So all those in favor of,
Amending the motion.
I know, I can read.
Awesome.
Give me a chance. All those in favor of amending the resolution 2024-06 by replacing 450,000 with 200,000 and replacing 45,000 with 20,000 throughout the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. So we have 2 against and 5 for. Motion passes. Thank you, council.
So, Chair Rosner, I'm sorry, who were the opposed?
The opposed were Councilor Stanky and
Mays.
Member Mays.
Member. Or member. Yes,
Stanky and
thank you.
Mays. Thank you.
And then I also make a motion to approve URA Resolution 2024-006 as amended.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of approving URA Resolution 2024-006 as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Opposed.
All right, motion passes with Member Mays and Member Stanky voting nay. All right, thank you, council. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.